All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Errol Spence Jr. And an announcement that is out there, or news that is out there related to what he is going to do next. And for me, it is very, very good news. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division talking about Errol Spence Jr. and some information that came out that is being reported that I certainly hope is true, and in my opinion is very, very, very good news if it is. Before I get into that though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support for the channel. It really does mean a lot. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that share button if you would not mind for the videos. Okay, so let's get to this. Obviously, everybody knows that there is a really big fight that many people want to see between Errol Spence Jr., who is the WBA welterweight champion, the WBC champion, and the IBF champion, against the multi-divisional champion and one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, TERENCE "Bud" Crawford, who was the WBO champion, former champion, undisputed champion at 140, and the former WBO lightweight champion, right? Just one of these fights that, for the ages had been compared to Sugar Ray Leonard versus Tommy Hitman Hearns, right? Just one of those fights that everybody wants to see. Unfortunately, from what it seems, all appearances outside looking in, the negotiation has gone on and on and on and on and on, and still no word about whether or not these guys are actually going to fight. Now, there had been news going around that the fight was going to take place in November. Just recently, some people said November 26th, which I have a hard time believing it's going to be November 26th, seeing that's right up on Thanksgiving or 3 days after Thanksgiving. A lot of people will be on vacation or whatever. But now you had some information was shared this morning by the Boxing Voice. Shout out to the Boxing Voice, a great channel. Definitely, provides very, very good information on a regular basis. And by the way, also, for people that always got an issue with YouTube, getting information off of YouTube, man, there's a ton of news that gets dropped on YouTube all of the time, man. More people are watching YouTube, and every major news outlet has a YouTube channel. So the idea that somebody that has a YouTube channel can't share news, to me, is ridiculous. But whatever. They came out today and said that Errol Spence Jr. has a pay-per-view date locked, and that date is November 19th, and it is going to be with or without TERENCE "Bud" Crawford. Now, for me, excellent news. I have been advocating for that for a while now, that look, if Errol Spence Jr. and TERENCE Crawford do not agree to fight very soon, man, set a deadline and keep it pushing. Make a fight. Do not have any significant amount of time off waiting around on that fight. And that's what I thought specifically for Errol Spence Jr., because Errol Spence Jr. over the last several years has spent so much time outside of the ring, right? First thing that he had was back in, I do believe that was in 2019. He has a car accident that keeps him out for a long time after the Sean Porter fight. Then he comes and he fights Danny Garcia, beats Danny Garcia after a long layoff, and then he has another long layoff for the Manny Pacquiao fight when he tears his retina, and that gets postponed for him, right? So over the last I think he's fought like 2 times since 2019, and it's 2022. Errol Spence Jr. has legitimately fought 2 times, right? So for him, seeing as that he looked so good in his last outing, I thought that it would be a shame if he allowed the negotiations for TERENCE Crawford just to continue to go on and on and on, push out until, say, May of next year. So now, Errol Spence Jr. did not get a second fight for the year, right? And is jumping in against Terence Crawford with another long layoff. Terence Crawford, and so Errol Spence Jr. needs to get in that ring, needs to fight. Same thing for Terence Crawford. I think it's a good thing for Terence Crawford, because if Terence doesn't agree to that fight with Errol, shoot, from a boxing fan standpoint, I want to see Terence Crawford fight as well, man. There's a lot of good fights that I would take for Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. I would take that fight if he winds up being able to, fight Josh Taylor. If Josh Taylor moves up, I'll take that fight. If Terence Crawford can finagle a fight with Virgil Ortiz, who's one of the top rated guys in the WBO and fights with Golden Boy. If he's able to take that fight, I'm cool with it, right? But just something where we're not waiting around and around and around for this fight, and then it winds up not happening, next month in May either, right? So the idea that Terence Crawford, the news that Errol Spence Jr. is going to set a date for November 19th, and that he's going to be fighting somebody on that date, whether it is Errol Spence, whether it's Terence Crawford or not, I think is a very, very good thing for boxing, because likewise, just like Terence, there's fights that Errol can make on those dates that would be big fights and be exciting fights to see. Now, me, if you've been watching my videos, I am going to continually put a plug in there for Keith One Time Thurman, because I believe Keith One Time Thurman is one of the better welterweights out there. And I'm somebody that, just has a vindictive nature. And I want to see that whooping that Errol Spence Jr. said he was going to give Keith Thurman all those years ago, when Keith Thurman was a unified champion and Errol Spence Jr. was just the IBF champion. I want to see that fight. So if they got a pay-per-view fight where they can sell it, and Terence and Keith Thurman is available for a pay-per-view fight, man, that's going to do well, man. It may not do as well as the Errol Spence Jr. fight with Terence Crawford, but it's going to do well, man. And even if he has to get a mandatory out of the way with Aegis Kalvanakis, not Aegis Kalvanakis, Staniansis, Emanitas Staniansis. Please forgive me for messing up my Eastern European welterweight names. If he gets that fight out the way, look, I will take that fight too. I think that fight probably would be a one-sided beatdown, but from Errol Spence Jr.'s perspective, he stays busy. He picks up another paycheck, right? And, he's that much more sharp when he goes into the fight next year, if they wind up making the fight with Errol and Terence. Now, for Errol's standpoint, what he said was that he said a few things relative to this. First thing he said, maybe about a week ago, he's like, man, I'm focused on myself, right? Like, he said that a couple weeks ago. That may have been foreshadowing to say, look, man, I'm focused on myself. I'm going to get a fight for myself and continue going and make my money and keep it pushing, right? Well, another thing that he said previous to that was, look, though, and this is not necessarily good news, is that, if the fight doesn't happen with Terence Crawford now, it'll never happen. And he had also said, look, man, if this fight doesn't get made, it's not me not making it, right? So, it may wind up that, these guys have just run into money issues or whatever, and Terence doesn't like the deal. Whatever, man. If they're able to, revisit that later on, cool, revisit it later on. If they're able to get the deal done right now, man, please, boom, get that deal done right now. I'd be excited. I would certainly hope that would be the case. But if not, look, man, this year of boxing was so nice, up all the way up through, man, I would probably say May, January, February, April, right? January, February, April, May, June. Yeah, all the way up until like June. It was really, really nice. And then we just hit this dry patch, man. So whatever's needed to end this dry patch, dude, I'm 100% for it. Let's make it happen. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.